In this installment, we're going to be breaking down the finale of the Thursday Night Football Showdown slate. This is it for Thursday night, and we have a Debbie Downer here between the Cleveland Browns going up against the New York Jets. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for our finale performance here of the Thursday Night Football Showdown slate series. We have a game between the Cleveland Browns going up against the New York Jets. Former Jet Joe Flacco is going up against the New York Jets now, and they had an opportunity to sign him this year, and they did not. So that's very, very intriguing. But before you deep dive into that, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetShetsD. Don't forget about that TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about that Patreon. We're going to touch on that very, very soon. But we're at the home page of the YouTube. We are currently at 1.52,000 subscribers. We continue to grow, all right? We're just at 1.51, and now we are at 1.52. Let's continue to climb the ladder here. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Can we get to 2,000 subscribers by the Super Bowl? Hopefully so. Hopefully so, and it will transition over to NBA. All right. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Guys, if you're currently a subscribed member, go ahead and continue to like and comment all the videos that you see down below. If you're not currently a subscriber, why don't you just support? It is free, and click that subscribe button right now. Now, on to the Patreon. Our plays last night came through. My main play was the Nets, and it was the Wizards +7. They did not cover that. They lost by 8 instead of 7, but that's fine. We were able to grab some value on the Brooklyn Nets, all right? Perfect opportunity to grab the Nets at first half when they were down, got +154. This was a -200 favorite. So when you see opportunities to get these plus numbers versus obviously a very bad team in the Pistons, you take advantage of it. And later in that game, the Nets were down by 5 in the fourth quarter. I was able to take that as well at +172. Not to mention that, all right, guys, it's always important to hedge. We did phenomenally on that Christmas slate. Majority of the plays came through, but the perfect scenario was here. The Knicks was an early game. The Giants was a midday game. The Ravens was an 8 o'clock game. That Mavericks and Suns game was at 10. All right, so you had the opportunity. If everything else came through, you had the opportunity to cover yourself so you can profit in that final game, and that's what I did. All right, so I had the parlay was with the Suns to cover myself, to make sure I profited. I made sure I covered myself with the Dallas Mavericks money line, and they were underdogs, so that was the plus side of that. So, guys, get in tune to these winning selections here, strategy as well. Sign up for that Patreon right now. That link is provided down below. On to the injury report here between the Jets and the Browns. We're going to start off with the New York Jets here. Starting tackle Dwayne Brown will be out in this game. That does not bode well for that offensive line and for Trevor Siemian, because Zach Wilson is in concussion protocol. He's going to be out for this game as well. Backup tight end Jeremy Ruckert, he's going to be out from Ohio State. He had another 3 days in a row of DNPs. He will be out. So that's going to lean more to Tyler Conklin getting the majority of snaps at that tight end position. All right, we're going to wait on news about Greg Zuerlein. Right now, he had a limited on Wednesday, so that's important to see that he got in some work on Wednesday. And then Alan Lazard has a Q tag, but he is pretty much irrelevant in this offense for the Jets. Played poorly in the majority of the season, and now is getting usurped by Gibson and Jason Brownlee in that wide receiver core for the New York Jets. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Now, for the Cleveland Browns side, their punter is doubtful, so they're going to have a backup punter. It could be the kicker as well, a backup kicker. You have a Q tag on Amari Cooper. So everything right now is just rest, so he's probably going to be clear to play for Thursday. Joe Flacco's fine. You got a Q tag on Marquise Goodwin. Journeyman wide receiver Dustin Hopkins. They're going to be out as well. So kicker and punter, they're going to be some backup situations here for the Cleveland Browns. And if it's fourth down, he might just be going for it every single time. We'll see what happens. Agbo, I'm not going to try to say his last name. He's going to be out. He's a major factor on that D line. And there's also Anthony Walker, middle linebacker. He's going to be out as well. Everyone else on that defensive side, that very stout defense, will be fine going up against these New York Jets. And not much competition in Trevor Siemian. All right, let's get into the captains. Starting off with the captains here, we're going to start off at the top here with Amari Cooper going up against these New York Jets. This is obviously a tougher matchup here. Won't be a cupcake spot for Amari Cooper, letting you guys know, because he took full advantage of the Houston Texans here, but now he's going to have to deal with the secondary of the New York Jets. The only strong point for the Jets is going to be that secondary. Obviously, offensively, there's so many issues, offensive line and quarterback. But Amari Cooper in this spot, I do not expect him to get 54 fantasy points. Let's just say that off the bat. He should still have a decent amount of fantasy points here, but he's in the captain fringe flex spot because he's going to have so much ownership. Everyone's going to be feeding off of that previous performance. That's why I had to speak about him in the captain section. So I do expect him to have a little bit less of a game here, more of the flex area. I think us in the community trying to build these lineups should kind of go away from Amari Cooper in this one and find some other captain spots that we can take full advantage of. Especially the ownership is going to be all over this guy. But we do have the benefits of this secondary here in Sauce Gardner going up against Amari Cooper, and on the other side, DJ Reed as well, okay? But I do have to mention Amari Cooper in that captain range just because he's been phenomenal all year, has a very good connection here. But what the Browns have been doing, they've just been, with Flacco, just chucking the ball deep down the field. And I think they're going to have to work more in the middle and short and intermediate for them to move the ball against these New York Jets, okay? The next guy I'm going to talk about for the captain spot is going to be Jerome Ford. I'm going to shake things up a little bit. I think he has the best matchup on the board. All right. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs here, the weakness of the Jets is in the middle. It's against tight ends. It's against running backs. And as you can see, the New York Jets, the last past 5 weeks to be exact, have been struggling against opposing running backs. 30th overall and 30th in the red zone, giving up 122.5 yards rushing, 3.8 yards a carry, and 1.2 touchdowns a game to opposing running backs. And that's going to fit the bill here for Jerome Ford. Love Jerome Ford in prop bets. And obviously, I love Jerome Ford in your DFS lineups as your captain. I expect him to have a very good game, get in the end zone here, provide upside rushing and receiving as well. So he's going to be one of our favorite plays at the captain spot. All right. Next guy we're going to be talking about at that captain spot will be David Njoku. David Njoku is on a spree right now. And like I said, the weakness of this team here in the New York Jets is in the middle. It's running backs, it's tight ends, it's slot wide receivers. And David Njoku fits that bill right here. 27 against Jacksonville, 29 against Chicago, 16 against Houston. Another great year. He had a breakout year last year, and now he's putting it all together this year with the Cleveland Browns. Loving what I'm seeing out of him. Obviously, he's getting a team high in targets. So the last past 3 weeks, he's seen 31 targets in 3 games. Continue to see that upside there. The mismatches he's going to create against the linebacking crew and safeties of the Jets, that's going to bode well for this freaking nature here in David Njoku. Love him as a captain option over Amari Cooper. And then last but not least, on that Cleveland side, who I like as a captain, is the former Jet and Elijah Moore. I expect him to have a little bit of a breakout game here. This is going to be it shouldn't be a sleeper. It shouldn't be a sleeper, but it could be because he has done nothing all year. All right. He's been very mediocre, hasn't really had a big breakout game. A lot of people were hoping that he was going to have a great season with Deshaun Watson coming over to Cleveland Browns in a trade, but he has not done much. He's only averaging 7.8 fantasy points per game, but I think this is the game he finally wakes up here against his former team. And you got the former quarterback as well throwing him the football in Joe Flacco. Believe me, Flacco understands here. We're between the two former teammates here, between Elijah Moore and Flacco. He's going to get involved in this game here and be utilized. And I'm telling you, he's going to get a touchdown on Thursday. Love Elijah Moore in our lineup builds and as a very sneaky captain play as well. Okay, so Elijah Moore is going to be the final Cleveland play. So on that other side for the New York Jets, the guys we can trust, because it's not many. Number one will be Breece Hall, just because of pure volume. All right, he's going to see the rushing attempts and the receptions as well. And obviously, Trevor Siemian, he's not going to be breaking down and going to third and fourth guys. He's going to be sticking to the 1-2 punch here between Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. So as you can see, he had 12 receptions, 16 targets last week in that game against Washington. Breece Hall is an absolute beast, and he's going to get fed yet again against this tough Cleveland Browns offense. They have any opportunity, they're going to need to use Breece Hall at a very, very high clip. All right. Number two will be Garrett Wilson. All right. So there's not many options here for the Jets. We can get creative on the Brown side and find some options there, but Garrett Wilson is going to be our number two option on the Jets side that we can go towards. He saw 15 targets last week. That's a plus. All right. At least he's getting opportunities. All right. And maybe he can create after the catch. He's very slippery, very good route running, has great hands. Garrett Wilson here should have a very solid game just off pure volume. It's very similar to Breece Hall, so that's why we're going with Garrett Wilson there. All right. Actually, I have one more play at captain, and that's going to be Browns defense. We are not playing New York Jets defense. We're playing Browns defense against Trevor Siemian. All right. This could be the real sleeper play here at captain. So I gave you two sleepers. All right. I gave you Elijah Moore at captain and Cleveland Browns at captain. All right. So I think these are going to be the lesser owned out of everyone else that could probably pop off. And Browns defense, who's been stout all year against Trevor Siemian, this is why we can go that route here. And this is a home game for the Cleveland Browns. All right. Let's move on to the flex plays. On to the flex options here. Before I get to the top guys, hey, I'm telling you right now, I got some sleepers here for you. All right. I got some sleepers. Guys you don't even know. All right. We got some sleepers here. First guy we're going to be talking about will be Tyler Conklin for the New York Jets. This is the third guy we could trust. All right, he's going to see some volume here. No Jeremy Ruckert, who's the backup tight end for the Jets. Tyler Conklin is going to get the bulk of the work and snaps. He saw 7 targets last week against the Washington Commanders and now going up against the Cleveland Browns. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to opposing tight ends, this is the weak spot here that you want to attack in that Cleveland Browns defense. So they're pretty stout everywhere, but the weakness for the Browns will be the tight end position. 22nd overall and 31st in the red zone. So goal-to-goal situations in the red zone and in between that 20-yard line and that goal line, this is where they're giving up touchdowns to opposing tight ends, working that middle area, right? And they're getting open and having opportunities to score in the end zone. So that's going to be key there for Tyler Conklin. Maybe he get his first touchdown of the year in this game, hopefully. So we're going to be looking at him as a flex play in our lineup builds. I told you we are not playing Jets defense. We can go with either kicker, all right? So with Hopkins out, the kicker for the Cleveland Browns will be Riley Patterson. He had opportunities for extra points last week, made one, missed one. So this is what they're stuck with as of right now. That's fine. We can go towards him. And Greg Zuerlein, I guess we're not expecting that many touchdowns from the New York Jets. If Trevor Siemian can move the ball just a little bit, then he's going to have some upside here kicking field goals. He had 14 against the Commanders, and he had 17 against the Houston Texans. So you see some upside here with Greg Zuerlein at his current price. And obviously, they're going to try to score as best as possible. Low total type of game. That's where we can look at defenses and kickers, all right? So that's why we can consider both of those guys. Wait on news on the injury report for Greg Zuerlein if he is out, all right? Some of the sleeper options here for the New York Jets. We have Xavier Gibson. He's more the explosive special teams guy, and they also use him in the offense as well as a slot wide receiver. Very shifty, very creative. We saw his potential, what he could do earlier in the year. We had that kickoff return for a touchdown against the Buffalo Bills. So Xavier Gipson is very, very explosive, can take anything all the way to the house. That's where you could consider him as a play. And then Jason Brownlee, he was going off in off-season, well, in preseason pretty much, having some great catches, one-handed catches, being caught by Aaron Rodgers. If you go back, you can check on Instagram, on Twitter, all these previous videos of Jason Brownlee in Jets camp impressing others. So he was someone that was looking very good, and now he gets the opportunity to get more snaps with Allen Lazard not getting as much work anymore. So we can go towards Jason Brownlee. All right. And then if the game gets out of hand, all right, the running back that we can look towards will be Israel Abanikanda here. Rookie running back here. He had 9 opportunities, 43 yards last week. He's a guy that can take anything all the way to the house. He's in a similar mold to Breece Hall, where he finds creases and can take short runs all the way to the end zone. Abanikanda from Pittsburgh has that type of upside. I like him as a punt play at running back. If you want to take that risk as a bottom end flex play, all right? Wait on news for him. He's been limited all week. He should be able to play in this game, all right? Now, some sleepers for the Cleveland Browns is going to be Cedric Tillman. He's stepping up a little bit more and more as a rookie wide receiver. He saw 2 targets against Houston, 8 against Chicago. So he has a nice, comfortable outlook here between him and Flacco, getting a consistent amount of targets. If you want to punt that wide receiver position, Cedric Tillman can be your guy at $3,000 in salary. And that's how far we're going to go in our lineup build. All right. Well, I gave you some sleepers there. You get creative with the Browns defense, like I mentioned, and I gave you, obviously, we're going to be looking at more of kickers as well in this very low scoring environment. And if you're looking for punt options, Xavier Gipson, Jason Brownlee, and Cedric Tillman are guys we can look at on both sides of the ball. All right. Now, for our guaranteed plays in each and every one of our lineups that we need to have, number 1 will be Jerome Ford. He has the best matchup here across the board. I'm going to lean towards him. Number 2 will be Garrett Wilson. I expect this team. No. We're going to go with Breece Hall. Breece Hall, obviously, he's going to get rushing work and receiving work. We're going to go with the bell cow here, running back on the other side of that football. We're going to stay away from Denzel Ward, even though we can go towards Garrett Wilson. But just to be safe here, Ford, Breece Hall, and my number 3 option would be David Njoku. All right. David Njoku, I love in this game environment. I like the mismatch he provides against our poor pass coverage linebackers and safeties, and David Njoku is just a monster. All right, so that's going to be our 3rd play there. And if you want to throw in a 4th, Browns defense. All right, we're just going to put that out there. Browns defense. Love Browns defense against Trevor Siemian. All right, so these are the core plays I want to have in each and every one of our lineups. Get creative from there, and you have plenty of salary to fill out the next 2 spots. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right, peace out, guys.